Oh wow. Guys, this is a special one. The first game I ever reviewed on this channel, and really the first game I ever did a review on, was Midnight Club Los Angeles. Now back then I was 13 years old and I had an original channel that I closed down due to bullying at school, but I really missed the idea of content creation. So shortly after I started the Industrial Gamer channel, and by that time one of the new hot game releases was Midnight Club Los Angeles. Now I was a longtime fan of the Midnight Club games. I played all of them except the very first one, but Dub Edition was my favorite. And although I haven't played it in a long while, I think taking into consideration, my own biases, it probably still is. But Los Angeles here was such an exciting prospect because getting a new Midnight Club game on, at the time, next-gen consoles, running, of course, on the GTA engine, there was just a ton of hype and potential for something great. And I reviewed the game, talking about its core career mode and multiplayer. I did a 3-part video series to do my best to kind of convey what I genuinely thought was a great game. But, let's be honest, the review was quite awful. I'll get into that later towards the end of this video, but I want to talk about my experience here replaying really Midnight Club Los Angeles nearly 20 years later from launch. So as I said before, I'm no stranger to this franchise. I always considered Midnight Club one of Rockstar's best, and although many people know and are aware of them from the Grand Theft Auto series, I think perhaps the first Rockstar game I ever played was in fact Midnight Club 2. Now this series just took a much more stylistic approach to the night scene racing vibe and featured some incredible customization of vehicles, great music, and just really celebrated this sort of lowrider hip-hop culture of car racing. Now this really painted the game its own identity, and other franchises that were around, such as the Need for Speed games, just really focused on the pursuits and sort of these cheesy career modes, but the level of customization on offer that you got with Midnight Club was just often unmatched. You also had this really nice open world to explore, complete with nitrous-induced jumps and stunt missions. It really just was a blast to play all of those titles back then. And with Los Angeles here, the series went in a slightly more, just different direction. This game is much more story focused, for one. You actually have a central character who does have a personality. The game features a pretty realistic recreation of downtown LA, including the surrounding suburbs to some effect. And the introduction to the cockpit view in this game in particular lends a sense of speed and viscerality that really was never present in the franchise. You still have the substantial customization though, so you can essentially tune out your vehicle to just great effect. This includes wraps, kits, individual parts like exhaust pipes and spoilers, and even styles of like the headlights. And by the end of this process, you can take what is a pretty generic looking vehicle and turn it into something that's just eye-catching and just makes a bold statement. Now, back when I played and reviewed this game, I never actually went on to beat it. I tried a couple of years later though, and I did get a little bit further, but again, I never completed the game. However, this time though, I started from scratch and I played the Xbox 360 version here, and I was able to play through the entire career mode and finally see the credits and experience the meat of the story. It's sort of your standard coming of age tale. Your character is looking for a challenge and trying to beat the best. There's some shady people, some cheaters, and some corruption, and the plot involves some, misappropriated funds and stuff like that. The story is pretty simple to understand. It's really not the core of why you're here playing the game in the first place, but I must admit that considering most racing games don't even bother putting a story in place, you do at least have a reason for why you're doing all this in the first place, and for what it's worth, I did actually enjoy it. Alright everyone, it's time to take a look at the Midnight Club Los Angeles box art on Xbox 360. This is the original launch version of the game, which features this textured font that you can actually feel with your hands up there, and some of these nice shiny reflective elements as well. So I like the cover there. There's a good look at the spine on the back. Kind of shows a bunch of different screenshots, talks about the new vehicles and the new options, and of course the new setting and stuff for the game. So yeah, all that is pretty cool. Now opening it up here, we got just an excellent, well put together physical edition of the game. Rockstar always does a great job here. I love the sort of, sun-baked setting of Los Angeles and stuff. Kind of reminds me of like the GTA San Andreas vibe. So here, taking a look at the owner's manual first, it's in full color, you know, and as Rockstar typically does with a lot of their games, they just add a ton of details and information here. There's controls, there's vehicle information, you know, different tips and tricks and stuff that you can do. They just really do a great job at just giving you a ton of information to look at. You know, here's the cop section and all this stuff, the pursuits and all that crap. So yeah, I really just enjoy kind of flicking through this. This is going to be a physical edition that I'm just going to keep around forever. It's just excellent. That has a lot of art, a full screen, you know, colors and all this stuff, and just again, it's just really well put together. There's all the automobile manufacturers. Rockstar does a great job there. Now, we also get other things as well. We get a full foldable map of the entire Los Angeles district in the game. And this is really, really cool because it features all of these landmarks and talks about, you know, all the different highways and stuff like that. And as someone who grew up in the Los Angeles area, or specifically the San Fernando Valley, which you could actually see, you know, on the top end of the map there, it's just really cool because you definitely recognize some of these streets and stuff, and they just do an excellent job putting this whole map together. Now, it's a closed off version of LA. You know, you can't leave the city district and stuff like that, but everything that they do here is just so well put together. It's a great size. Again, all the landmarks and cool, you know, different important places to go to in the game, and you can even flip it around. And as I show here in a bit, we get all the core vehicles in the game on the back, including top speed metrics and the prices and stuff. This is just excellent. Again, I'm really happy to see that we get this. You know, with Grand Theft Auto 4, they also gave us a similar style map and stuff like that. But, you know, this is just awesome to see Rockstar really putting in a lot of this core effort in there. And it's nice whenever you get stuff like this with a physical version of the game. So yeah, anyway, cool look at the Midnight Club Los Angeles edition box art. I really enjoyed the packaging for this one, and yeah, just really enjoyed playing this game again. It was really cool. Now, visually, as I stated before, Midnight Club LA was running on Rockstar's Rage engine, and it's the same engine that was featured in GTA 4. That being said, I think Midnight Club Los Angeles looks markedly better than Grand Theft Auto 4. Now, granted, you don't have the level of interaction that you do with GTA. You know, the physics aren't on the same level. You can't get out of your car and just explore. And even the civilian and traffic density has been dropped comparatively so. But, you know, it's really putting all that power into just creating a better detailed environment, but sort of without the complex gameplay systems that are required in a game like GTA. You're just driving after all. The thing is, it can just do a lot more with its environments and not have to worry about all those systems. I think the game looks very good even to this day. Now, you're watching the Xbox 360 version right now. It's being played via back compat on Xbox Series X. There are no enhancements here, so it's still the same 720p 30 FPS presentation, but, you know, I think the game looks good. I should add as well that if you have the standard Midnight Club Los Angeles disc like I do, and if you decide to play it on Series X, you do automatically get upgraded to the complete edition at no extra charge. So it's also a cool addition that you get via the back compat program. But I think Midnight Club Los Angeles is a solid looking game that immerses you just fine in its world. You know, you'll also see real life adverts as you're kind of racing through the city, so that's all fun. You get this beautiful day and night cycle as well, which I think, if memory serves me correctly, the previous Midnight games always took place at nighttime. So this game by default is brighter and much more varied, and again, it lends itself to really feeling like a true life recreation of the City of Angels. Now, as far as sound design goes, an excellent amount of care has been put into this game as well. The cars all sound very good. As with the other games in the franchise, though, it's really the music that shines here. Rockstar's choice in music may not necessarily appeal to everyone. You kind of have to like or just enjoy listening to the more hip-hop, rap, and reggae styles of music, but I think it fits the theme of the game very well. I thought it was fun. It's not music that I would personally listen to outside of the game, but I do recall some of these tracks you know, that were sort of more prominent when I was a kid playing this game for the first time, so that's nice. Voice acting is also pretty decent as well. Again, there's more characters in this one, and you'll be meeting a wide variety of personalities, but I think everyone plays their part pretty well. You know, no one really sounds off. It's an easy game to sort of just get in, listen to, and start playing. Now, I want to briefly touch upon the controls. For those who never played this franchise, Midnight Club Los Angeles is an arcade racer. However, a certain level of physics is in play for the control scheme. Cars do shift their weight depending on their speed and just the velocity of the turns. So it is quite possible, if you're being careless, that you could actually flip your car. But this is a game where you'll be hitting these intense speeds, doing crazy drifts around corners, cutting through buildings and parks and whatnot. And it's an easy game, I would say, that you can just sort of pick up and play, although as you hit higher speeds, you will need to have a certain level of handling skills once you start to sort of navigate the world. But once you start off playing the game, it has a really good pacing to it, where it kind of familiarizes yourself with the car handling with slower, lesser vehicles, and you just kind of work your way up to these more monstrous hypercars. They even added bikes to this entry, so they really tried to provide a wider variety of vehicles and just ways to get around in general. And added with that, again, the cockpit view, the sense of speed during these sections is both exhilarating and super stressful. In addition, you have these perks at your disposal. Now, Midnight Club takes some liberties and doesn't try to be too realistic, so you do have certain abilities and skills that you can use. And you're seeing me use this roar ability, which kind of forces traffic all around me to veer in opposite directions, creating a clear path forward. So it's all very fun, very useful, and these skills can actually be a lifesaver as you're racing against tougher opponents. I also want to add as well that for those of you who never played any of the Midnight Club games before, in terms of the way the races are actually structured, there's no set paths, there's no specific routes you're supposed to take. All the game does is it says, hey, here are where the checkpoints are located. You can hit these checkpoints from any direction, and sometimes there are races where it just tells you to get to a certain location, and depending on how fast or which route you take to get there can depend on whether you win or lose the race. So it really forces you to actually learn the streets and learn the different pathways and really the city and all the routes and stuff like that. And it provides a unique sense of challenge. I think at the beginning it could be a little bit intimidating to kind of keep all these things in mind, but as you start playing, you'll start to kind of learn the different routes and the different streets that are actually kind of the quickest way to get to where you want to go. So it's an interesting different style of these races, and it lends this game its own little unique personality to it, rather than just being a linear, straightforward racer. So yeah, as we close off here, let me then return to my original topic I was discussing at the very beginning. This game is the very first game I did review on this channel, and I did a 3-part review breaking down my thoughts. I pointed the camera at my monitor at the time. In fact, the camera I had wasn't even a real camcorder. It was a children's toy. I think I got like a year back or so, and it was tiny. It could fit in like the palm of your hand, and it had this, I think, like 1.5-inch LCD screen that folded out so you could actually see what you're recording. It was so bad, but it's all I had, and I just sort of gave it a shot. It's funny, I clicked on that video and sort of went back to it, and it's cringy, looking back on that now. My personality hadn't matured. You couldn't see anything. I wasn't able to formulate my thoughts as coherently as I could now. But I really fell in love with the hobby of content creation. And of course, at that time, YouTube was not this colossal, dominant entertainment medium like it is today. In fact, most people I knew back then were still watching cable television, and they all thought I was the weird one because I'd rather watch YouTube than just whatever garbage was on TV. I never really thought I'd have the opportunity to kind of review this game, though, and similar to how I discussed my experience playing the first Uncharted last month and re-reviewing that, it's one of the core reasons why I really enjoy creating these reminiscing videos. I can return or just check out some of these older titles for the first time and just really make more of an effort to cover these games in a better way. And of course, focusing all my thoughts and experiences into one place, it does mean a lot. Anyway, I doubt anyone watching this at this point was around and was watching that review back in 2008 and is still here. But I do hope that you guys enjoyed this review I'm doing in 2025. Last thing I'll mention is I really do miss this series. Rockstar seems to really only care about the open world sandbox style games today, but I miss this more experimentation phase from them, having a wide variety of franchises like Midnight Club and Bully, or even stuff like LA Noire and Max Payne 3 later on. I really hope that one day we can return to these days. And don't get me wrong, I'm still very excited for Grand Theft Auto 6, of course, but there's just other games in Rockstar's portfolio that I'd like to see as well, not just GTA GTA and Red Dead, whatever it's called. But, you know, in any case, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and I thank you so much for all the support over the years and for continuing to be here, and hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much, and have a great day.